last time we spoke, you told me you did not trust the common or average man.
Yes, in terms of aesthetics, yes.
Why is that?
Well, they're lazy, intellectually. There's a lot to be said for the circumstance of the so-called working man, which is working. And leisure is what's needed for an aesthetic sensibility to evolve. You know, it's very hard to do that if you're digging in a mine.
Right.
I knew Salvador Dali pretty well, and he was another champion of my work. And I was very involved in a kind of a social conscience sort of thing, you know, and he said to me one day, he said, "You want to help the poor?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Don't be one."
That could be taken two different ways.
Which way is that?
Don't worry about them, and you know.
Yes. Well, there was an arrogance in it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I have tremendous problems, and I identify with the trust of common man. I don't believe there's any personal accountability.
Well, the thing is, the so-called common man has a kind of live and let live attitude,
Right.
whereas the middle class are the ones who are dangerous, you know, pretentious, and they get involved with the arts, you know. The man is very successful, self-made, and his wife has figured out already that that's not enough. You have to be cultured. Mm-hmm. You have to have paintings. You have to buy paintings. You have to go to the opera. You have to go to plays. You don't know a fuck what they mean or what any of them are about, so you read the critics, and they tell you what it's about. Mm-hmm. I had spent some time with George Soros. He does a tremendous amount of good work in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And he's done it since, you know, his job now every day is going to his philanthropy. You can see he doesn't have anything to do with this. And at this dinner, there was just a very few people there. He actually said that he had no belief that civilization will be able to survive. And I thought it was funny coming from a guy who's doing all of this work, and work that implies for the future, mm-hmm. should have the bottom line, no faith in survival.
Right.
In any case, all the scientists generally agree that the sun's going to burn out of fuel and get to be a red dwarf. And so this planet won't be anymore. Somehow I've got some ideas about that. I think that probably there's a built-in mercy in somehow the phenomenon of things, that there will be a gradual impotence growing more and more and more and more. So that basically people will sort of fade out. There won't be any catastrophic, you know, people being blown to bits. They simply wouldn't be born. Because it happens to the species, it happens to gorillas. They know their extent. In fact, gorillas don't even clean their nests. They don't make themselves look nice. Animals do that. Animals make themselves look nice. They, you know, in some kind of way, one way or another. So gorillas know that they're not going to continue, so they say, well, why wash the dishes? So they're kind of just fading out.
And they are.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just a thing I think about all day long when I'm painting.
Question. Why are you living here as opposed to England? Other than weather.
Yeah. Well, I never decided to live anywhere.
Okay.
I just went where things took me. I mean, if I made a decision to live somewhere, I would rather live in Italy. I mean, as an actual decision.
usually they say people who do a geographical move.
Yes.
So in England,
They're always moving to
phenomenally
Spain.
Right, celebrated. You are like, and then why would you be in Brookhaven? Or,
Yeah, well, that's
sometimes
the
people-
most unlikely, most boring place you could ever possibly want to be. And I think because of the low input of stimuli, that it allows for an internal stimuli. Because, you know, you live in Manhattan, you can be stimulated to death
Tell me about it.
all day long, you know, one way or another. And there's a sort of exhaustion of some kind, you know, especially if you're a social kind of person that I am, you know. I mean, I would never turn down a dinner party, you know, this kind of stuff. And you could do that every day of the week, you know. Then you've got all these openings where people go and they don't quite know why they're there, but they somehow know that they're networking on a certain level, but they don't know what level that is either. Basically to be seen and be seen, to see people and then you start seeing the same people and they start seeing you at every event, and then there's a kind of a jaded quality of no conversation or exchange.
Right.
Because what you've already said at least 10 years ago. When Barnett Newman died, artists were asked to make a comment, you know, about, and Andy Warhol said a really very unkind thing. He said, I think that Barnett Newman was at more parties than I was. And it's true, you see Barnett Newman at every party. And he said one of the most brilliant things ever said, period, which was that art history is to the artist what ornithology is to the birds. Now that is an incredibly profound, brilliant statement. But after you've heard it 1,000 times, you know, because he was saying it at every party, you know, and so he wasn't doing himself any, he could have been more discreet, you know, not appear so much, stuff like that. So Brookhaven is perfect, providing you're with somebody you want to be with. I wouldn't tolerate this place if I was on my own.
Me neither.
No way. No way. But you got a pretty woman, you're fine.
See, I keep hearing that you don't like bullshit and mincing words and you know, T.S.
Well,
Eliot.
who does? I mean,
A
nobody.
lot of people at these dinner parties, right? In the rooms, coming
Well, that's
going,
true.
chatting
You're not
about
supposed to
culture,
say
right?
anything serious. We met Francis Bacon for dinner once.
Really?
That was an experience.
I love his work.
Yeah, he's one of the greats.